Today we're going to unpack one of the most incredible business stories of our time, how a single company pretty much became the engine for the entire AI revolution. Let's get right into it. $4 trillion. I mean, just let that number sink in for a second. That's the valuation Nvidia hit, the first public company ever to do so. It's a mind-boggling figure, and it's the central mystery we are going to solve. So the big question is, right, how on earth did a company that, most people used to associate with video games become the single most valuable, most critical player in the age of AI? That is exactly what we're about to break down. So our story, it really kicks off with a spark. The moment generative AI, think tools like ChatGPT, just exploded into the public consciousness, it set off this unbelievable chain reaction that would launch Nvidia, well, into the stratosphere. And look, this was no accident. This was a perfect storm of incredible timing, decades of deep tech development, and just massive bets from the world's biggest companies, all coming together on Nvidia's platform. They were just ready for the moment. And the speed of this climb is it's absolutely breathtaking. Think about it. Late 2022, the AI boom really starts. By May of 23, boom, they hit 1 trillion. Less than a year after that, 2 trillion. Then 3 and 4. The sheer velocity of that growth is frankly unlike anything we've ever seen in business history. So where did all this cash come from? Well, this chart tells the whole story. The data center and AI business didn't just grow, it completely took over, accounting for a whopping 85% of revenue. Gaming suddenly looked like a sideshow. AI was the main event. But here's the thing, it's about so much more than just one chip. It's about creating the entire engine room for artificial intelligence. So what is it that makes Nvidia's hardware so dang special? Okay, so it all boils down to this thing called the GPU. And this analogy we found is just perfect. Imagine training a massive AI model is like baking a gigantic, complex cake. You've got the recipe, you've got the ingredients, but you need an oven. Well, GPUs are the industrial-sized ovens for AI. They can perform millions of calculations all at the same time, in parallel, which is exactly what you need to bake these enormous AI models into existence. But here's the absolutely crucial point. Nvidia wasn't just selling the ovens, they were selling the entire industrial kitchen. First up, you've got the GPUs themselves, the raw horsepower. Then you've got the super high-speed networking that links thousands of those GPUs together. And third, and this might be the secret sauce, the CUDA software platform, which makes it all work together seamlessly for developers. It's the whole package, a complete system. So what happens when you create the perfect tools for a gold rush? Well, everybody rushes in to buy them. But instead of picks and shovels, the modern-day prospectors needed GPUs. So who were the biggest buyers lining up to stake their claim on the AI frontier? You're talking about the absolute titans of tech, the hyperscalers, right? These are the massive cloud providers like Microsoft, Amazon, Google, and Meta. These guys were buying tens of thousands of these chips at a time, building out their own AI models and renting out that power to their customers. For Nvidia, this meant predictable, absolutely massive streams of revenue. And this creates something incredibly powerful in business. It's called stickiness, or ecosystem lock-in. See, once a company builds its AI software on top of Nvidia's CUDA platform, switching to a competitor isn't just swapping out a piece of hardware. It means rewriting years and years of code. It's super difficult, super expensive, and that gives Nvidia a massive advantage. You know, that stickiness is a huge piece of what investors call a moat, that big defensive barrier around a business. So let's take a closer look at why it's been so incredibly difficult for anyone else to really challenge Nvidia's dominance here. When you really get down to it, it comes down to three main things. We already talked about that ecosystem lock-in with the CUDA software. Then there's just raw performance. For years, Nvidia's best chips were just the fastest. And finally, it's that systems thinking. They weren't just selling a part. They were selling a complete optimized solution for building AI from the ground up. Yeah, this chart really lays it out, doesn't it? On one side, you have Nvidia's approach, selling the whole integrated package. And on the other, you have the challenge for everybody else. They have to try and recreate not just the chip performance, but also the networking, the software, and all those years of developer trust, all at the same time. It is an incredibly steep hill to climb. Okay, but let's be real. No company's dominance is ever guaranteed forever.
So we have to look at the potential challenges, the things that could slow down this incredible momentum. What could possibly go wrong?
Well, there are some pretty big ones on the horizon. For one, the big hyperscalers are trying to build their own custom AI chips to be less dependent on Nvidia. Then you've got competitors like AMD and Intel working like crazy to close the gap. And of course, there's always the risk that this insane level of AI spending might cool off, or that geopolitics could restrict who Nvidia can sell to. The bottom line is, at a $4 trillion valuation, there is absolutely zero room for error.
So after all that, what's the big takeaway here? Why does this story matter beyond just a stock price? Well, NVIDIA's incredible rise is this powerful lesson. In this new era of AI, the physical infrastructure, the hardware, the chips, the plumbing, is every single bit as crucial as the code and the algorithms running on top of it.
There's a quote that just nails it, that sums this whole thing up perfectly. Nvidia didn't just sell faster chips, it sold the infrastructure of a new kind of computing. They weren't just selling components, they were selling the very foundation that this entire revolution is being built on.
And that really leaves us with this big, fascinating question for the future. NVIDIA built the infrastructure for this generation of AI, but as this technology keeps evolving at a blinding pace, who's going to build the next generation? And what will that future even look like? Something to think about.